Okay, I'm here with Gracie. This is in response to the last video, which, if you can believe it or not, was yesterday. Today, snow. I had a few people say it would be really cool to see what happens with all the other horses. If you're new here and wondering what the heck I'm talking about, I did a video where I showed Annie wandering around me trying to figure out how to get carrots that are in my pockets, whether or not she would respect my space or my requests. So with that, the requests came in of whether or not the other horses would handle this kind of thing, the situation, and the horse that came up most was Gracie, and how she might be completely unstable and it wouldn't be a good idea to do it with her. So I wanted to show you what will happen. Now, I have a pretty good prediction of what will happen, which is why I'm doing it. So she's already detecting that I've got carrots on me. And I'm going to set myself up even further to fail by giving her one of them right now. So we've got a carrot here. There's one in each pocket on me. I've got a fresh coffee. I'm going to enjoy the absolutely beautiful scenery for the next 20 minutes or so, hanging out with my horse while we check out whether or not she can respect my space, my requests, and whether or not it's safe to be around her in close quarters. So let's get started. All right, here we are with Gracie. I thought I would narrate over this to give you guys some of my own insight as I watch it later and some of the thoughts that I had at the time. I know there were a few people that were worried about how this would go and how Gracie would act. And they are valid concerns. These are valid thoughts based on that she does appear to be quite erratic and not seemingly able to concentrate on one thing, very distracted, that kind of stuff. I've spent an awful lot of time with her and have learned what her patience level is, or what she usually requests and why she requests it. And I found this to be an experiment that gave me results somewhat what I expected, but somewhat not. Now, you look at this bit here and you see her butt coming over, and I know that plenty of people get very worried about being behind a horse and my reaction to that. Now, my reaction to that is just pure instinct. I can see it coming over. I'm a little bit worried that her feet will come over too far and step on me. I wasn't worried about being kicked, although I do have a little bit of an aversion of being behind her simply due to the fact, which I talk about later, that she can kick her tail if it's wet or kind of in the way. And what I don't want to be is in the way of that. But 99% of the time when she brings her butt around like that, she is looking for a butt scratch. So I wasn't offering scratches, I wasn't offering carrots, I wasn't offering anything other than I was just being there. So I didn't want her to think that I was going to be scratching. So by stepping away or stepping off to a side and just continuing to do what I'm doing can give her the indication that I'm not interested in that and she should not keep asking, which she never asked again. It really was an interesting experiment in my mind, as we'll see a little bit later. I did have a pretty good feeling that she would not try to bite, she would not kick, she would not run me over. She's not the type of horse that will step into a person's space and try to take over that space. It's very unusual. She's a lot more compliant, I think, than many people would expect. As for trying to reach for carrots, while she will be a little bit more competitive around other horses, when alone she's not nearly as much. Now, she did have some interesting behaviors, so I've slowed this down to normal speed, and we can see her sort of playing with her jaw a little bit, or her teeth, and I have a feeling she had maybe a little bit of carrot stuck in there somewhere, perhaps. But behaviors like this can also be indicative of jaw tenseness or a tenseness in the neck. Generally, when horses are doing these kinds of things, they're trying to release something. So she does quite a bit of this for a little bit and then stops and then tries again. But you can see they move their bottom jaw back and forth, essentially looking to release something. or try to get something under their teeth. That's quite a common thing as well. And you'll find that when the vet shows up to check their teeth and he first reaches in and finds a big clump of old hay or something like that, or a tooth that's a little bit off or something like that, and inside is, you know, a clump of something, usually hay around here, but it could be all kinds of things depending on what you feed them. So right there, I smiled because when she shook her head, she ended up spraying me with water because we were standing out in the snow essentially, and we're both getting very slightly wet. So it was funny. Her behaviors are what I would call good. I don't have any problems with what she's doing. She's staying close, she's wandering, she sniffs once in a while. Once again, you can see how much she's blinking, how much she's sort of, if you can see in this video, she's reaching around inside of her mouth with her tongue. And she does this for quite some time. Like, it's almost, I'm starting to think, well, maybe I should give her a proper oral exam and see if there's something in there to pull out. But I think maybe it's just carrot, but we'll see. I might do a check on that. So I'm watching her from up high, just kind of glancing down, trying not to give an indication that I'm watching. And we see she's still sort of working on something. So I think there is a combination, a little bit of like maybe something stuck in there, but also maybe there's something tense, something that could use maybe a massage or and then right there, she actually sort of cracked her neck. She did that swish of her head, and I heard a crunch crunch. You know, kind of like when you do that to yourself. You sort of go to one side, you can feel your bones sort of snap back into place or something like that. It was actually quite interesting. It had me thinking about all kinds of stuff while I was standing there. And here she starts to rub on my shoulder a little bit, which was amusing. She's very gentle about it, not pushy, not really bothersome, not doing it in a way that puts me in any danger. Almost, I think just those 2 points where I thought, ooh, I'm a little bit worried, where she had kind of come around for the butt scratches. Did I feel like, well, maybe I need to kind of think about my position and whether or not it is a good place to be. But that's about it. Other than that, I would say that I felt very comfortable, very safe around Gracie. Again, she is so much better when there's no other horse around. It's just her and a human. She has nothing to compete, nobody to tell off, and she's not worried about another horse coming in. So those are all very interesting aspects about her. And like I did with Annie, I faced up to her to see how she would react. She could feel like I'm going to pay attention to her, and she started to rub on my cup. And I explained shortly here, so I won't repeat it too much, but I tried to get a bit of video to show how precise horses are, which I find fascinating. Just the sheer amount of precision that they have for touch, because it was either very light or very strong, and very specific spots. Quite normal, obviously. Doesn't seem to be an abnormal thing, but very interesting all the same. Well, that's one coffee cup long of a video. A lot of thoughts while doing this one, actually. She's very interesting. And near the end, I was trying to get a little bit of video of her rubbing on this cup. She was very, very precisely rubbing on her face where she needed a little scratch. So I was going to show how precise she was and how she can clearly feel exactly where just this rim of the top cover was. So there you go, there's Gracie. Whether or not she'll be dangerous, there's only a couple spots that I felt mildly worried, but only because she has an odd behavior of kicking her tail, and I didn't want to be in the way of that just in case. So I don't necessarily worry about her kicking me. She obviously didn't kick her tail while I was behind her, But I'm not going to put myself at risk for the sake of an experiment, obviously. So I shuffle a little bit, making it look kind of casual. You can hear a chainsaw in the distance. She's a very interesting horse. There's been some squirrels up in the tree that I've probably already narrated. Going nuts. Hilarious. So that kept a bit of her attention and a lot of mine. But overall, I think she just loves getting the scratches and the rubs and stuff like that, and is more looking for that than probably the carrots, even though she knew they were in my pockets, because my pockets smell like carrots. So I didn't really have to give her any warnings or tell her to get out of my space, so I couldn't really demonstrate what I might do, except maybe here. It's minimal. I don't want her hassling my hand to try to get her scratches. She sees when my hand comes out. There's a lot of times I've worked with her, trained her, I guess, or I don't know what I would put it, but if I put my hand out, then she can come and rub on it. And I think I mentioned before that there's a good rule out there: don't let your horses rub on you, you rub on them. I think it's a good, safe rule, and sometimes can bring about small behaviors like she almost showed, where she might hassle my hand to say, hey, come on, hurry up and scratch. So it might be construed as sort of trying to groom to initiate grooming, but I don't need any grooming. So there, she didn't. Yeah, I think I mentioned in the past that the more you kind of are around horses, the more you can have an idea what they're going to do, which will prepare you more, which will have you be able to anticipate better. Her energy is coming up a little. I don't know if you can tell. She's getting a little bit more agitated. I'm talking more. I'm interacting. My hand is out and not in my pocket. So she's very much expecting a solid scratchings at this point, which I will, of course, give. I think that if I didn't, it would probably really frustrate her. She's waited this long, so we'll help her out with that. Anyhow, so hopefully that's been a bit interesting for everybody who's wondering how on earth Gracie would do in this situation, whether she would be what we might refer to as better or worse. There's an interesting discussion going on whether or not horses understand respect, so I think that's an interesting one as well. I believe that respect is the only word that could be used for certain things. This is getting a little much. It's very close to the edge of my comfort zone. So you see, I go quiet and I kind of concentrate more. My breath probably gets shorter. Everything about me gets a little more tense, like I'm ready to say no. I'm very, very ready. And maybe that's enough. And I think that there's a great discussion to be had on how much energy is put into an action and all that follow through and stuff like that. So I don't want that. I don't want her teeth are after lips, you know, lips first and then teeth kind of idea. If she were to get persistent enough, she wants to bug me with her nose. I'm kind of okay with that. She knows. She just needs a scratch. So let's do that. Let's answer her request. Am I training her? Am I training her to bug me until I finally do as she wants? You know, a little bit. Yeah. Is that safe? It's safe if I know that I can get the other response, which is space. And we wander into that discussion about respect. And I think that respect can be, the definition of respect is simply listening to what somebody says and doing it. And whether that's out of desire or some kind of deep understanding of social structure or hierarchy or fear, you know, you can show respect based off of fear. You respect a lion. You wander into a lion's pen, you can be like, this is not a good place to be. And you'll respect that lion because it's powerful, fast, and all that kind of stuff. Just like I respect a horse's ability to move really quickly, or to be sometimes unpredictable almost. But we do this so that we can kind of understand and make them more predictable in our minds, to where we anticipate. And they can too. This communication is important. The back and forth, the willingness to say, I hear you, and I'll be here a little bit. If it gets to be too much, I can obviously ask her to step back. Say, that's enough, I've had enough now. Now I'm done. And that's an okay thing to do. I wouldn't want anybody to see that as being mean or cruel. You can absolutely say, hey, I really want space now. Maybe I have to sit on my phone and I have to really put my attention somewhere else. And I do not want some horse hassling me to get what they want, because horses are inherently incredibly selfish creatures. So the next stage of that is to ramp down or come down and bring that energy way down. Go back to whatever it is you want to be doing as fast as possible. If I were to go and chase her off even further, I wouldn't have the draw that I have now. I would just induce fear. So instead she comes in a lot quieter. I don't have to think about it nearly as much. I can concentrate on the camera. I can wonder what the squirrels are doing a little. I can sit on my phone to answer a comment or respond to a text or make a phone call even. And I don't have to continuously nag her back. She will just be, yeah, okay. But she doesn't want to leave, and I'm not asking her to. Just ask her to stop. Stop and wait. I'll get to you. Maybe. And that's okay. That part's okay. It's not mean. It's great communication. It's consistent. She knows that my quiet is quiet for a reason. Your quiet's got to mean something. If you're constantly noisy, naggy, or always sort of doing something, and your horse is just going to get used to that, that's your quiet. But if your quiet is truly quiet, then your noisy becomes really loud, and your ever so slightly noisy becomes noisy. You just keep trying, don't you? Hey? It's really itchy though. Can you help me out? But I know that I can ask her to leave. I know I can ask for space. I know I can get it if I need it. And so that's what makes this better, safer, an option if you want it. Like, I can reliably have space without a fight, without any trouble, without her turning her butt and wanting to kick me because she's so in fear. You know. So, something to think about. Anyways, this has been an awfully long one, so we'll leave it at that. And she'll be back. She's making a new approach. She's reset herself. Hello. A new side too. She's come up with a new side. She's switched sides, not by doing it in front of me, but by approaching me with a different side. It's fascinating stuff. Important to pay attention to. So, anyhow. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right. These are the squirrels. In case anybody was wondering what the heck I was watching. We've got two gray, three black ones, two gray ones, I think. I think he's gone all the way up to the top now. There's one in the middle there, hard to make out. One that's just hanging off the tree. Off he goes. There's a gray one there. There's another down below more. Oh, there goes that guy. Come out. And then they yell at each other. Squirrels are hilarious. So one guy way up there coming down. One guy way out on the branch. Here comes another one. So fast. Off he goes. Jeez. I haven't sped up this footage. If that squirrel really is that quick. Comes another. Say, come out. It leaves two. Anyhow, squirrels. There you go. Fascinating little creatures.